sure I might just hit record in Zoom, and then we've got it there, and I can see the stream is now live on YouTube.
Perfect.
These are the best ones to capture.
Got it there, and I can see.
Just requesting, was there an other issue apart from the YouTube you wanted documented?
Sorry, Brian, I didn't really make that out. Would you say that again for me?
Was there
No,
another issue?
just to record whenever possible on the training stream.
Copy that.
Did we document the fallout of the OSC in devices?
Yep, copy that.
SuperSource ready.
Copy that. Graphic in. Cut. Host SS. Graphic out. Cut.
That looked great.
Yeah, I think the lower third isn't working there. Or it might have got confused a little bit. Very well done, Noel. That's awesome.
Thank you. I think the graphic out worked. It was just because he was already speaking when it happened. The lower third went with it.
Normally, it's still there. I've done it before. Where I've taken out late and it's still held there.
Right.
We'll find out in a wee second if it comes back. Noel, host reader SS for me, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey,
Graphic in.
SuperSource ready.
Cut. Host SuperSource. Graphic out. Cut. Well done. There's still a fair bit stutter in the multi-view. Is that going through to? Is that the same for you, JJ?
yes.
Okay, host reader SS, please, Noel. Thank you very much. Hole in the super source, is that because of?
Who was at 6? It's TJ. He's at 2.
Guy, was it?
No, it's the wrong number of. There's an issue with the super source.
Copy
I
that.
just rebuilt it. He's the last person with a hand up, but there's a second box inexplicably.
I'm gonna resync before the second hour.
Okay, next question is the last of the hour.
Copy that. And the main thing is that the Elgato one is a third of the price of the OC White. Graphic in. Super source is frozen, I think. There we go. Graphic out. Screen share. So go through screen share and copy cut.
I was going to say you can use 4, but that was too late.
Is that because things were updating, JJ, do you think? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Right,
And reader position is incorrect in the super source.
Getting there.
Yeah. Bill is at 13.
Yeah. Preview super source, Noel?
No, I would preview
Okay.
Smart Gallery because we are coming into the next hour.
Yeah.
And no hands on the next
Host super
question.
source, Noel? And cut. Active speaker preview. And cut. And smart speaker preview, smart gallery preview. Cut. Oh, black hole. Ugh. 2.2, 3.2 even.
Yeah, 10. And
Nice, Jeff.
yeah,
He
that's
came back, everyone.
Yeah.
Mitchell.
Different. Mitchell's gone.
I would
we've
there's
lost-
another whole cut to Alex.
Cut. Okay.
So preview super source.
And there's a hole in it.
Confirmed.
Nigel
host
is not
reader.
showing up.
Copy that. Host reader super source. Yeah, thank you. As there's a hole, we probably won't use it.
Yeah, Nigel's not in the numbers.
We're just going to wait there and see if he comes in.
Nigel's
Hold
my
up.
inventory.
Hole at 4. Nigel has his camera on, shows us 1094.
Reset.
Excellent. Is it better to put Nigel in at 4? Or is the person who's at 4 just got the camera off?
I don't know who is at 4.
Jeff Powers.
I don't see Jeffrey Powers online. Yeah, he's not.
Copy that.
Nigel and 4.
I suggest we take Bill out of the super source if we're going to use it again this time.
We're not going to, so for the next question.
Okay. Super source is behaving.
Hole in SuperSort and the Smart Gallery at 4.1, 4.4 at 16.
Gallery.
And it's okay now. Well, no, that's a note for JJ. If you want to preview SuperSource again for me,
Yeah.
Sorry.
we have two
we can
Ken
put
Jordans.
Noah, yeah, Noah can go at 16. He's at 17 currently.
A little hot.
So just checked. We have 16 cameras on in the panel. If we lose anyone, we may want to drop to the 9 up rather than the 16 up.
Copy that. That means JJ has to get up.
So now I figured out how to do it.
SuperSource still behaving.
Copy that.
2 more hands for this question, Noah and Jeff.
Copy that.
Is the contribution machine that sends the return feeds to us also Zoom OSC, or are they a vanilla Zoom client?
The Zoom clients in use are either Zoom ISO or Zoom OSC.
Like the OH 2.0, OH 2.02, those ones.
Zoom ISO. All the nodes 1 through 5 are running Zoom ISO.
I get that, but I'm talking about the ones that are feeding the video back to this meeting, to this webinar. The one we're in the training.
Webinar is fed. Our training webinar is fed by the meeting. Sorry, by the Zoom room running on another.
And so that's not Zoom ISO, and that's the thing that's stuttery at this point.
Actually, that's not. It is stuttery. It's not too stuttery, but it is stuttery. I would say that the program also is stuttery.
No hands accepted on next question.
Copy that. So in that instance, Noel will be staying on with the reader, putting the graphic over the reader, and then letting the active speaker take over rather than going to the SuperSource.
Okay, thank you.
If there's anyone else who wants to cut during today, I suggest we get them ready to log in.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'll have a go.
Brian, was that you speaking there?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that was me speaking.
Okay, I will message Brian the link.
Thank you. You're a little bit low, Brian. I don't know if it's low for others, but I think you're a little bit low for me. Just to let you know.
Probably am. That's just because it's 3 a.m. here.
That could be it. And it's a new year as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another hand has been accepted on this question.
And
He
Brian
delayed.
coming to us from the future.
He always is.
All right, one hand now accepted on next question.
Copy that. In which
and
case,
one more
then we
person
will
on this
probably
one.
we might use the super source now. Well, just to give you a heads up.
Okay.
We're getting explosive plosives from Jeff. Something to feed back to him for next time.
Dennis, could you just shorten that to explosives?
Could do. I don't think anyone would know what you meant, but
Or the plosives that have already happened?
He was also 5 dB low. Is Nigel either drinking a very big coffee or a Guinness?
another hand's just gone up.
Copy that.
So that may
Definitely
be
going to be using
accepted.
super source if it's working.
Yeah, that's on the
Okay.
current on the discussion.
Oh, in the current discussion. Thank you.
Yeah.
So now, do you want to try the timing on the next one yourself?
Okay. I will
Yeah. So
give
I
it a
won't
try.
call it this time. I might give you I'll give you a graphics in shout just to give you a bit of timing, but otherwise than that, I think you take it on from there.
Okay, great.
Just for
Give
this
it a
next
try.
one.
Is super sources is okay?
Not yet. Dennis will give you a call when he thinks it's all ready.
Okay, thank you.
He'll give you a nod that the super source is accurate.
Okay, this is currently the last speaker on this question.
Copy.
Okay.
And there's another hand. And another hand.
Just a question. Does this interface currently represent the multi-view where we've got 1, 5, 9, and 13 across top row?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I think you may have come in after JJ configured it. This is based on something that Jonas designed in the last couple of days. And JJ rearranged it so that it matches what we see in the multi-view and the 16 up.
I have to say, I really do like that layout. As far as the 16 buttons and the multi-view layout, I really like that.
Yeah. I want us to get the 16 up rearranged so it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 across the top. That was something we discussed on the second hour yesterday. But that will mean some rerouting of things and then obviously moving the buttons around.
It is not an insignificant rerouting, just to let you know, Dennis, because the way the multi-view 16 is designed in columns, not rows.
Right.
I just like that the 17, 18, 19, and 20 are right below your buttons where they are on the multi-view, because the bottom 2 rows of the multi-view are literally the buttons named across. So if you forget something, it's right there. I really like that.
To be honest, the solution might just be to relabel the buttons. As long as we relabel them in both places.
It is, but then you
engineer place and
the problem then is just the disconnect, the cognitive disconnect for the engineer. But that is definitely one of the ways to do it.
Yeah, we should talk about it later.
Speaking about relabeling buttons, something that we could do about the active speaker button?
Yeah, that should either be called smart speaker or the multi-view needs to be renamed.
Cognitive disconnect.
Ken has been accepted as the next hand on this question.
Copy that.
Supersource has automatically updated to reflect that.
How many questions do we have for this hour?
10, including
okay.
this one.
A quick question just to clarify. So it's going between active speakers by itself, isn't it? You're not cutting manually.
That's confirmed, yes.
Copy
Smart
that.
speaker, stroke active speaker, cognitive dissonant speaker is live switching itself.
Copy.
Part of the design of the system to be as low maintenance as possible. It is possible to manually. It is possible to manually switch it, because you're not switching between 20 different people. You're usually switching between 5. But timing wise, it's the smart speaker is better than manual.
Seeing a lot of stuttering in Ken's video.
Copy that. Are you seeing that on your end, JJ, or is that just us on our end?
It's making it to the stream.
Cool. Copy that. Okay, graphic in, and then you take over now, Will.
Okay.
I'm of the impression that might be the FS.
So graphic in, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And then do you want to cut across?
Okay.
And then host SS, so you're going to go to that. There we go. And then graphic out and then cut across. That's it. Perfect.
Yeah. In
we didn't
future,
give you a
something to
heads up.
watch for.
We didn't give you a heads up that the super source was good, so we'll make sure that we do that.
Yeah. It wasn't really good because Ken's not framed correctly.
Well, it's good as in the technical side. The wetware side failed us, but that's a different thing.
Indeed.
And when I'm referring to wetware, now I'll just for cultural differences, I'm referring to the person, not to the system.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to get ready for the next one with host reader SS, that's it. So as soon as you hear Alex calling for the next question, that's when it's a good time to move into the first graphic and then start to bring in the super source if it's confirmed good.
Okay.
2 hands on the next question.
Just a query, where are we getting the audio from the actual program?
From
we're getting-
Zoom.
Yeah, we're getting audio from the actual show from the actual office hours Zoom.
Copy that.
On Node 5.
Yeah, reason being we want it as low latency as possible.
So how are you able to have 2 Zooms?
2 different devices.
Uh-huh.
If you have a look in the labs, the Office Hours 2.0 lab, I popped in a wee kind of explainer of some of the things that you might want to have in place just for the show, for the training, what people have found helpful or what I've had to set up on my end. That kind of gives a good lowdown of all the different kind of things and screens and stuff that will come up and be involved in. And one of the dimensions in that is to have either a phone or an iPad or a second laptop or a second computer in on the actual Office Hours Zoom so you can get the audio. So JJ, the stuttering, are we thinking then that that's still a brain issue or something else issue?
Yeah, my thought, my current thought is that it's a brain issue.
Okay.
You mean like the PC brain, the one on the PC? I didn't think any video goes through that at all.
The program.
2 hands on the current on the next question. Sorry.
Copy that.
Laura has made a very good point. We want to find a new traffic manager who can take over while I'm moving next week. The primary qualification is that they need to have been given sufficient access in panel view. So they need the reader access.
Yeah. So Laura, I think you're volunteering for that. Is that correct? Confirm it. That's confirmed. Okay, now well.
SuperSource is
SuperSource
bad. Do not use.
Good.
John
Okay.
Pretto is showing as the meters for some reason. Meters are at 18. If we can put John Pretto there, then it will work.
Well, that's a good adaptation there, Noel. You took the graphic out spot on time. Well done.
Thank you. We stay in an active speaker.
We are going to need to use screen share if we don't get John Pretto into the numbers in time.
Okay.
So preview screen share. That's it. So only if it goes to John Pretto. So we listen out and see. Oh, there we got him now.
There he is. He's now in 18.
So it should work. There we go.
Okay.
So now you can preview SuperSource again. There we go. So we're just standing by for the next question.
Okay.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks for joining us.
Okay. One hand on the next question. It's Jesse Costa.
Copy that. Brian, are you able to get the other audio or to give switching a go? Or are you?
Yes, I do have separate audio now. Copy that.
That's great. Do you need any answers or do you have any questions about the interface?
I can see the interface. It's currently working. If you can guide me through.
Certainly.
please
Can you
direct me-
just press 1 for me? Oh. That's great. Preview 16. Preview active speaker. Preview SuperSource. Change SuperSource to host SuperSource by hitting the host SS button. Change it back to host reader by hitting the host reader SS. Okay, that's good. That means you've got most of the things in good place. Now, well, shall we let Brian have a go, or are you wanting to have a little go for a bit longer?
No. If Brian have a go, it's okay.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you, Noel. That was really well done.
That's
We'll move Brian into the cutting seat. Brian,
thank
I'll
you
call
all.
for you.
Okay.
So, Brian, you have control. I'll call for you, and then we'll let you take over once you kind of get the flow of it as well in your head.
Thank you. Take it slow.
The only button I haven't asked you to press is the graphics buttons because they are actually live. So just be aware that we'll be using graphics in whenever Alex calls for the question, but I'll try and call for it.
Yeah, copy that. Just take me slow through that.
Will do.
Okay, I'll let you know when the question's ready.
Copy that.
I should really have been doing that, but I haven't.
Graphics in.
Question ready.
Cut.
Super source ready.
Host super source. Graphic out and cut.
Good job, Brian.
Well done. Now, well, if you have any questions coming out of your go, please feel free to ask them or type them, whichever you prefer. Or
Two
say that
hands on the next question.
JJ can answer Spanish. I cannot. So can Locke as well, actually. Don't know, Dennis, did you confirm your multilingual status yesterday?
I've got English and that's it.
There you go, just like me.
I
I've
don't
got
even have
English.
Yes, I have a C grade in French and 17% in German when I was in year 9.
Ooh, nice.
Did you say there was a question I needed to look at?
No, I was just asking now, well, if he has a question in English or Spanish, to feel free to say it. Sorry, Locke, I hope that didn't wake you up. If you're still kind of dosed up a little bit.
I'm okay.
We've got a hole at 3, if we can check that, but JJ's off station. Brian, if you could put this into host reader super source and preview. Thank you.
How do you know who to put back in 3? Do you just take a best guess?
Normally we check and see whether it's a person who's left or a person who has their video turned off. If they've got video turned off, we normally leave it because the chances are they come back. If they don't come back, we call an audible, and then we look for someone who's not in the 16 already. So maybe
Yeah, it would be John Preto.
Yeah, John Prato, who's in number 18 at the moment, we would then put into 3.
Yeah, who was? Oh, there we go. It's been done. I was going to say
Thank you
who
very
was
much.
in 3, and I could look them up.
We also
Copy
look
that,
for
Steve.
maybe who is outside of the 20 inputs that we have, if there's anyone left outside. Likewise with the other attendees, if you have questions, just like Josh just asked, feel free to pop them through or ask them audio-wise or not, or in text.
Thank you all for letting me in. It's a great experience.
Thank you so much. Thanks for trying. You're very welcome. Alex is very far off to one side in this frame today.
Yeah, he's got to learn not to lean on his arm
Mm.
because that pushes him to one side.
Perhaps the
We
new
have
microphone.
a hole at number 9 and number 12.
Who was in 12? Do we know?
I think we've got everyone in.
Yeah, we've
all
got
of-
15. There are 15 people, so everyone's showing.
Okay, let's move down to the 3x3 multi-view.
If you want, I could put my face in.
You're okay, Josh.
Sorry, repeat
We're
that.
practicing our contingency for changing the smart gallery.
Copy that.
3x3 good?
It is good. Any changes the team would like to the 3x3? Should we put Bill in there?
Yeah, Bill should be in there, really.
Okay. Let's replace Mark with Bill. So that's position 6. Thank you. Okay, graphic in. And cut. Ooh. Yeah. Nice 4x4.
Cut at a brilliant time. Well done.
Just
Yes.
host super source. And graphic out and then cut. So Brian, that's the way we're trying to do it. Does that make sense to you?
It does. I need a little bit more on it just because of the cutting of the active speaker.
Yes.
Not as intuitive as what I have currently come from.
Yeah, it's the other kind of whole side to this thing is getting used to who is in what position in the 1 to 20, in case you ever have to actively go to them. It's helpful to kind of Dennis calls it out, which is really helpful, as well as JJ, who's in what position, so that in case you ever have to go direct to them, that would be kind of more in tune with how you've probably done it before. But the active speaker, because it does a slightly better cut, and also because we're trying to make things less team intensive, is kind of the way that we're currently pushing down.
Yeah, and we will be doing a lot of work to improve the interface and require fewer clicks.
Just to clarify that, if I had to go to someone, say for example, I had to go to Bill right now, I would click on Bill who's I'm seen in 6, and that would put Bill in preview, and then I would cut. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay, thank
We're
you.
also, I think there's another interface that Jonas is developing, which is closer to the ATEM style of interface, but we've sent you a slightly different one that's closer to the interface that we've been using today, and as well as the last couple of days. So there's one that Jonas has made, which I haven't practiced on yet, which is closer to how the ATEM is laid out.
Yeah, 6 one, half a dozen the other.
Yeah, I think if you look at my screen, that's the way that Jonas has it in the other one.
Okay.
In a future iteration of the interface, will the buttons show feedback as far as like when you select something to make it preview or program, will it actually change color, that type of thing? Give a visual representation of what's actually going out.
It would be great. I'm not too sure it will anytime soon. I'll let the coding team answer that. What you can get, obviously, with visual feedback is if Brian, if you press 1 at the moment for me. So you'll see that on the Multiview 16 that there's a green box around number 1. So the green box is your preview box and your red box is your program box. So that gives you a bit of extra feedback upon what on the Multiview you've selected. So if you select 16 for me, please, Brian. There you go. So again, 16, the green box has moved over. So it gives you that extra bit of feedback upon what you've selected. It's just not on the interface at the moment.
Yeah, one thing to also show you is click the SuperSource button and watch what gets shown in green then.
Yes. Can you preview SuperSource? Thank you very much. And you also notice that the SuperSource changes the number as well. The button will stay the same place and the same, but the name of it does tend to change. George, we'll give you multiple now.
And you'll see that the green is around everyone who appears in the SuperSource, including Bill, even though he's turned off at the moment.
Yeah. If you want to prep for the next question, please, Brian, by hitting Host Reader SuperSource. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, and I've just noticed that it's not making green anyone who's in the second SuperSource being cascaded in. So that's something else to notice.
It's probably because it's on the other ME. So the other ME,
No hands on the next question.
Copy that. So in that instance, Brian and everyone, when there's no questions, as we said a couple of times before, we just keep it on active speaker, but we put the graphic in over the Bill when he's asking the question, or the reader.
Unfortunately, Bill is very well framed, so the question fits under him.
Fits perfectly.
Yes. certain people, such as Alex, aren't quite as well framed, and you end up with their chin covered up.
Framing burn.
And will you leave the graphic in when you go from speaker to Alex?
Yeah,
No,
we're of different minds, and this is where kind of cutting and TDing, you have your own kind of opinion. My personal opinion is that you need to leave it in long enough for someone to read it around about 1.5 times to twice, especially if it's a slightly longer question, which means it will be in slightly over Alex answering. Another field of thought, I'll let Dennis speak to that. It would be to remove it, and the rationale behind that. I'll let Dennis cover his opinion.
Yeah. So if we're in the super source, then it's great because there's space for it. If it goes over Alex, for example, who, as I just mentioned, often isn't framed up perfectly, then it's covering up his face. So you might want to avoid that.
Yeah, it's my preference that I don't mind it covers their face because it's there temporarily. But again, that's stylistics over one person over another.
I think Alex mentioned the other day that he wanted it out as soon as possible, right?
Yeah, he was also referring to a couple of other things within that, but he was also referring to not bringing it back. So he wants it up once and then not bringing it back in later on. So doesn't necessarily relate to how long it's on screen for, because we're talking about seconds, how long it's up there. But so my preference is that, even though it's being read, that you give someone enough time to read it at the same time. And Bill reads at a good pace, which means that it will normally match Bill's pace quite well. But leaving up just slightly longer gives just people a little bit extra time to read it for different people with different kind of ways of watching and listening. Meccana sort of solves it a little bit as well, and because the question is actually in Meccana to read, so it's horses for courses for what you prefer. And at some point, Alex will give us the steer what he wants, but at the same time, as a TD, so graphic in, sorry,
super source good.
Bill is in 4 and 6.
Bill is
hold on talk, please cut. And host super source. Thank you. So the graphic came out a bit early there, Brian, just to let you know.
Copy that.
And Bill's in 4 and 6, just FYI.
Copy that. Josh, we've gone down to a 3x3 in the smart gallery, so he won't be, if you look on the multi-view there, you'll see that he's not actually in the smart gallery anymore, because we've gone down to a smaller one.
And that's 6 and 13.
Yeah.
Because the order is mixed up.
And let's cut that, Brian.
Copy that.
Thank you. So we'll just go back to the question that we were addressing. The TD has a certain artistic license within things, even though Alex might steer us one way. It's worth noting that the actor on stage can do whatever they want, as long as you're prepared to hit with the consequences. The theater reference.
And just to add my 2 cents, if it's a shorter question, it stays shorter. If it's a longer question, it stays longer. Read it twice.
Yeah, read it twice is always a good one. But the other thing is, if you're holding on the super source, you can hold even long. You can leave it there because it fills the super source. But these are kind of starting to get into more artistic questions, whereas today we're kind of just training on the basics first of all.
And
Good
Richard,
question.
can you repeat the acknowledgement you made about
No
the
hands
change
on the
in
next
super
question.
source?
Copy that. Sorry, Josh, say again.
Yeah, you said that there's a change in the super source now, a shorter one, did you say? Or Bill, something with Bill?
No, sorry, I think I must have misspoke. In terms of a shorter super source, or are you talking about how long the question's up for?
No, you'd said just a little while ago something about Bill being in the super source, or something the super source had changed.
Oh, sorry. The smart gallery. So as you rightly pointed out, Bill is twice in the smart gallery. But if you look at the multi-view, the main multi-view, the smart gallery, as you can see, is down to a 3x3 rather than the standard 4x4. So even though Bill is twice in the main multi-view gallery, so the main 16, the 4x4, he's not in the smart gallery that go out to the public, to the audience, because we've taken that down to just a 9, a 3x3. So you were completely right to point it out, but at the same time, it wasn't. It's not a. It wouldn't go out because we've changed that. So we're kind of at this stage, we're sort of ignoring anything 10 or past because it won't go out publicly. So there's 2 holes in the main 16, as you can see as well, which I've ignored because that's not going to go out.
Yeah, and note that the smart gallery is built of 1 to 9, as you say, which means that when you look at the 16 up, you're looking at the first 2 columns plus the first of the third column.
So Brian, if you want to get ready for the next question with host reader supersource.
We have 1 hand now.
Copy that.
Hey, Richard, I'm just going to interject here real quick. Thanks to you and everyone else who's been working on this training and on the system. I got to tap out, but this is brilliant. I look forward to doing more soon.
Looking forward to having you.
Have a great day and Happy New Year, all. See you later.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for joining. Happy New Year.
Good New Year.
Preview smart gallery. Cut. Sorry, I missed it. Cut. And preview supersource. So what I was doing there is just Prado was engaging and kind of actively involved in what the guy was speaking. So we're kind of looking for those moments where the community are nodding and involved and all paying attention at the same time. Slightly rare sometimes. And then to bring them in and to connect with the wider community if we can.
Yeah, it's just appeared in the stream, and we did see both John and Ken nodding, so it did work.
Nice. We got some good nods. I missed his thumbs up though. That was missed the good Prado thumbs up. Is the stream stabilized at all, or is it still juddery?
It's looking good on Alex at the moment.
Mm. What do you think, JJ? Is it stabilized on your end, or is it stuttering in different places?
Watching.
1 more hand on current question.
Copy that.
And when you get a chance, could you explain to me once more how we're getting the 9 up out of the 16?
So there's actually 2 different multi-views are running. So there's a multi-view that's coming to us, and then there's another multi-view that everything's routed through, which we can change what it's displaying. So the multi-view 16s from Blackmagic, you can change how it displays its multi-view. So it can send a 4x4, a 3x3, or a 2x2. So it gives you different options in what you want to display. So the one that we're getting as an input source into the smart gallery has had all of its labels removed from it, which is why it's a separate multi-view than the one that we're getting in the meeting. As far as I know, that's what they've done on their end.
Heads up that questions are now disabled. 6 more questions this hour.
Copy that. In 9 more minutes.
Thanks for that explanation. And maybe a little color on how it's arranged and how we think about that in the source. Sorry, I'm just a little lost trying to find the change between the 16 and 9.
You're okay. I mean, the change we made there, we basically just took who we had already put into the first 9, and then we adjusted slightly to add Bill into it. So we removed Mark Giuliani from it and added Bill into the place that Mark was in. So we're kind of looking to try and create a representation for the community. If the first 9, as we moved down, represented the community already, then we were good. If we want to then change things, JJ has the power to manually place people wherever we need them to be in the smart gallery. So it's a slight aesthetic choice, a slight community choice, a choice on who you think might stay for the whole hour, because that's not always consistent. So it's a bit of a judgment call in a couple of different ways. Does that answer?
And another thing to factor in is how people react. So I would say you probably mostly want Sky in view because he's very animated.
Also looking at color, so Sky's animated, but he's also quite grey today.
Yeah, true.
So everyone else is quite bright. So because we're doing HDR testing, a lot of it's about color as well for me. Well, some of it is.
Copy that. So the order that I find them in is just the result of plugging holes, essentially, not a specific
it's a little
order.
bit plugging holes and a little bit about the 1 second, graphic in. Cut.
No, there we go.
Just got it.
Yeah, you just got away with it.
Just got it.
Yeah, it was very slow.
Host super source.
Oh, hang on.
Host super source.
Hang on. Go again.
Host super source. HSS. That's you. Preview active speaker. Cut.
Sorry about that.
Thanks, Brian. No, that's all right. We were saying other things at the same time in the training. So for me, the graphics still went out a little bit early, and that only because we're holding on the super source so long. So I would have kept it in.
The wrong question came up there because I think the graphic in was a bit too early.
No problem.
If you notice that you've got the wrong question, you can just hit graphic in again. It will pull it.
Yeah. Don't have Meccana up, so relying on you there at the moment.
Yep, that's my fault. I was dealing with the fact we were in the other source at the same time. But yes, Dennis is spot on. Hitting graphic in again will allow us to double check it and to get the right one in.
Go again.
One more
if
hand
I've
on
got
this
the wrong
question.
question up, I hit graphic in again.
Correct.
Yes, you hit it twice. Once you've already hit it, and the second time is the refreshes the connection to Meccana.
Copy that.
So get ready for the next question, just with host reader super source.
And there are 2 hands currently with the third waiting to be accepted.
Copy that. Josh, we were answering a question from you there.
Yeah, and I was trying to sort of keep tabs on who might be popping out of the super source just as an auditing thing. And so I've rearranged my Zoom tabs to the same order. When you do that, Zoom likes to go by column. It goes top left to bottom right. That's just the way that Zoom works. I wonder if the suggestion we had earlier to go into rows instead of columns might be more helpful if you're trying to sort of, how do you say, the thing you do with your checkbook. It's balancing the two. Balance.
Reconcile.
Sure. There you go. That's the one. Yeah. So I'm just trying to figure out. I just figured functionality, left to right, and depending on the sources, so if there's blank spots, you may miss it, but you can keep it in the same order, and that way it can kind of sort of get at the person that's missing or pops out.
Part of it is because whenever we fill in sources, it's a list view that JJ is using to fill it in. Sumo OSC is also auto taking people in a way. So it's not so much about what's the order in Zoom, though that does determine how Sumo OSC sees it, I believe, because it sees it in columns as well. But you can set that order depending upon the Sumo OSC patch. You can choose columns and rows and so forth. But there's two things. The multi-view itself is designed to go in columns, as in the multi-view that we're looking at, the multi-view 16 that we're looking at is designed to go in columns, and that would be the same for the smart gallery. It's designed to go into columns. That, as I think we were mentioning earlier with Dennis, can be worked around, but it is a bit of a lift to do. It's also, hold on, graphic in.
SuperSource is good.
So
cut.
Just check graphic. I can't read.
Cut. Host
Yep,
SuperSource.
Correct question showing.
And graphic out and cut. Thank you.
So can I add to that, Richard?
You can indeed.
So one thing to consider is that there's a march of data coming from Zoom OSC with all the panelists. And there's a march of data coming from Lukana, and there's a march of data in terms of routes going through it as well. So all of that is being lined up by Isadora. And so the reason that it's important to set the routes for the rest of the system is so that when Isadora looks at where the routing is in terms of what Zoom ISO pin is in what output, it can tell the right thing to go to the right place at the right time.
Copy that.
SuperSource is taking longer to update.
Copy that. Brian, can you go to host reader SuperSource? Just as a heads up, as we're coming into doing calling for the show, just as we come up to the end of a question, it might be helpful just to hold off on other, if you're talking, if you're in the middle of a sentence even, just hold off for a wee second as we call to the person who's cutting, and then we'll come back after the question is stabilized again.
Okay, one more hand after Courtney.
Copy that. Is it David or is it?
It's Jeff Keithley.
Okay, so the SuperSource is, there it is.
There it is. Yeah, it's done it eventually. And next question has one hand, which is Ken.
Copy that.
Just quick question. Why are we going to the host reader SuperSource as preview prior to the question being asked?
Just so it's easy to cut between. So it's there so you can straight cut to it.
I believe
you want to have the reader in view when they're reading the question. Say again, Josh.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. I thought that originally it was just a single commenter left, but then someone else put their hand up, so the SuperSource had changed.
Yeah. Stand by. Coming to end the question. JJ is saying that the sync is falling apart and node number 2 is still looking particularly bad. Copy that, JJ. Yeah, now, well, I've seen that before sometimes with a siphon problem. We've seen it on our end when, strangely enough, when black siphon is in the background, the behavior on our particular Mac Minis, when black siphon is in the background, it doesn't work as well. As soon as we put black siphon into the foreground, it cleans itself up. It's very weird.
I think having it in the foreground gives it higher priority in the process list.
It does, but Andy doesn't know why that affects it because it
Right.
shouldn't. That's the weird part. But yes, that's why we put it into the foreground, is to give it a higher priority in the Mac processing. Because Black Siphon shouldn't be doing any processing, as far as I know. Black Siphon's just handing off one thing to one other. So
Yeah.
it's I don't know if that's what's happening now, but that's certainly what we've seen ourselves a couple of times with SuiteMeister. In our small version of Office Hours 2.0, which lacks the HDR plus Isadora and
the 4K
Universe, and no, it has the 4K.
Oh, right.
It just lacks everything else.
One hand on the next question.
That's a good point. Now I'll have a wee check of that actually.
Yeah, you can use the nice command on the in the terminal to set priorities as well.
So weird when he says theaters and us. Just the difference in the UK versus America. It always throws me off.
Another hand just gone up.
Copy
Bill
that.
wants to talk. Hasn't been accepted. We've gone long on this question. We should really move on.
JJ, is that you on Node 5? Was that you moving something on Node 5?
I think it was happening on Nigel's camera.
Okay.
It looked like it was panning left, right.
Sometimes on SuiteMeister, that behavior when it kind of does that jiggle is because there's something happening on the screen on the Mac Mini.
Ah, right. It happened quickly, but it looked like it was in frame, i.e. we were seeing more of his room as it moved.
Yeah, it was only happening to Dennis, which makes me think it was just, it makes me think you're spot on that it was just Dennis.
Nigel, not Dennis.
Nigel,
Dennis.
sorry, Dennis. You're Dennis, not Nigel. Well-spoken English voices. Who knew I couldn't differentiate them? There he goes again.
Yeah, it's happening again. And no, I saw black that time, so it wasn't happening to Nigel himself. It's
that
Something
must be
JJ is doing.
That's
Something
definitely
JJ is doing.
happening. It was JJ this time.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. Thank you.
And Bill is now talking, and so we're expecting to go to the next question after him, and there are now no hands on it.
Copy that. People want to go home by the sounds of it. If this was one of those things when people were attending something.
Mm. Well, if we're going to start broadcasting on satellite, we're going to need to hit our marks and come out at the end of 2 hours.
We'll need a USDZ shepherd's crook and just pull on it.
Nigel practicing for 3.0 when we're doing the shaky cam.
His Nespresso is empty.
That was one large espresso, if that was an espresso.
Oh, no, Nespresso. That's his
Nespresso.
coffee of choice. Yeah.
That was also a large Nespresso as well. We've lost 1.3. We lost number 3. A hole in the super sort. Who's hole in the smart gallery? Can we move Sky over across to 1.3?
There
Thank
we go.
you. Okay, so graphic in. And then
Guy has
we're
been
not,
accepted.
the super
Sorry?
source is not
Consider
good. Super
moving
source is
line.
not good.
One at a time.
Super source is
Again.
not good. Super source is not good. Graphic out.
Sorry.
Thank you
Super
very
source
much.
now good.
Thank you. So just when that happens, when the super source isn't ready, we're just going to stay on active speaker.
Considered going 9 by 9. I mean, 3 by 3.
Sorry. Oh, you want to go to the community? Yeah.
No. I just didn't know if we had already shifted from a 4 by 4 to a 9 by 9.
We have,
I mean,
yeah.
a 3 by 3.
We
Okay.
have, yeah.
Rupert's just put his hand up.
It's not just me. These Zoom windows are just appallingly fuzzy, aren't they?
They are for me too.
Good.
My multi-view
I would
is
say
good. My
multi-view is good.
My MV16 is really bad.
Yeah, I've seen a lot worse.
Yeah, no, both multi-view and 16 up are atrocious.
Right. I'm getting multi-view at decent quality today.
Cannot read text at all.
Yeah,
Can't
and
even
it's,
see their names. It's been like this the whole time. That's what they call Zoom fatigue.
this is what we call New Year's headless, where everything's so fuzzy. You nearly get it, but not quite. So just like you're in a stupor after New Year's.
Richard, I've only had one glass of Lagavulin.
One glass an hour or one glass in total?
No, one
So
glass
I've-
in total.
Oh, that's nice.
I've just shared a screenshot of my multi-view on Office Hours 2.0, so you can see what the quality is like for me today. It's the best I've seen it. The 16 up is blurry though.
Yeah. Can you preview
Well-
Smart Gallery for me, please, Brian?
Two hands on the next question.
Oh, I thought that was the last question. My fault. Okay, no preview super source.
Hang on.
Okay, graphic in.
And SuperSource is good.
Host super source. Click host super source first. No, you're okay. Let's take it out. Take graphic out. Sorry, we had Bill twice in there, so that's why I was trying to take him out of that. You can go back to host reader super source as a standby in preview. So just to clarify that, I just in case I was garbled when I spoke, I didn't go to the super source because we have Bill in there twice, as you can see. So just trying to avoid that and just go over to just use the graphic on active speaker. One way around it is to just instead, when you see that happen, just go to host super source, so that allows you to go use the super source because it takes Bill out of the reader position. He doesn't answer many questions, but it does happen sometimes.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I don't think we have a technical fix for that. Is that correct?
We have a behavioral one. in that
the reader doesn't
Alex-
answer any questions.
Alex wants the reader not to answer questions. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, was someone about to ask a question there as well?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, what are the available super sources? I see you have a 3x3 here. Is there usually there's a 4x4, correct?
So the super sources are made responsive. They're from templates that JJ has made in MixEffect. So depending on how many hands are raised, depends upon what super source you get served up. There's 2 super sources available in the constellation, super source 1 and super source 2. And both of them are in use to make the super source that we're using at the moment. So the host reader super source and host super source are technically using one of those super sources to bring in 5 people, because obviously super sources only allow up to 4 people in the Blackmagic system. So it's designed so we can have a really large super source if we want, as in a super source with up to 5 people, or 6 people with where we have Alex and the reader plus 4 panelists. So it kind of is essentially responsive to what Isadora and what how many hands are being raised in the back end.
One more question for this hour. 3 hands on it.
Copy that.
Copy that. Thank you, Richard. And the smart gallery, what arrangements are possible there?
Nothing. The grid is the only one you have. You have control over who goes into which position on the grid, if you like it. But it's a grid, so we don't get anything except for the 3x3, 4x4, or 2x2 that you're seeing at the moment.
There's room. I'll add to that a little bit. May I speak?
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't quite make you out there, Tilak.
Josh, so there are 16 presets, and the presets are called up into the second super source.
Another hand on this question.
Copy that.
Waiting to be accepted.
And for 1, 2, 3, and 4 people, there are those same looking super sources 4 times in order to move through the different sources.
I do recall the solution map that Andy had put up in the second hour, Talak, as per your question, as per your answer.
But just to clarify, the smart gallery isn't a super source. It's just actually the feed out of a multi-view, which is why we only have grid control of it.
Okay, thank you. I'm not ATEM literate, so
that's no problem. If there's anything I say that is too ATEM specific, just let me know and I'll try and rephrase it.
Well, you may some color on the grid view for the multi-view grid.
So the multi-view grid. So if you see the multi-view 16 that's inside the meeting at the moment, so that takes inputs 1 through to 16 in columns, and then that's just the order of 1 to 16 inputs that you give to it. The multi-views, the Blackmagic multi-views, are designed sort of like at least the big ones are designed sort of like routers. So you can put basically anything into anywhere that you want. It takes a bit of rerouting work. So technically, if we could get one input and then put it to all 16 if we wanted to, all within just the multi-view itself. But within the system that Andy and Alex and everyone's designed, there's a video router, which essentially can send us a big video hub smart router, which is I think a 40 by 40 probably, JJ. Which can send us then. So it's sending the because there's 20 inputs, not 16. It's sending 16 of those inputs to the multi-view that we're seeing inside our meeting at the moment, and then the other 4 inputs, the remainder of that 20, directly to the multi-view that we're seeing as well. If you see the OH node 5, 5.2, 5.3, and 5.4, and so forth, are 17 through to 20. That's because the multi-view only holds 16. So that's one multi-view, and that's for our viewing. There's another multi-view that is running the smart gallery. So it's taking, again, those 16 inputs that are exactly the same as the inputs that we're seeing inside our meeting right now. But then we are controlling that to show it in different types of grid view. So when we go down to 2x2, all we're seeing is the first 4 of the inputs on the multi-view in the Zoom meeting. So we're only seeing basically node 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4. So it takes basically in order, it goes down. So when you go to 3x3, it takes the first 9 of the multi-view. Go to 2x2, it takes the first 4 of the multi-view.
And once again, to add on, the multi-view coming out of Constellation is the third thing that's here. And that has the preview bus and the program bus. It has, then it has 8 windows underneath that. The first set of 4 is screen share, smart or active speaker, then the multi-view, and then the super source. And then the ones underneath there are 17, 18, 19, and 20, which are the ones that don't fit in the 16 view.
Copy
If
that.
that
I do
helps.
find that arrangement of buttons makes much more sense than the previous one. Richard, you had some reservations about that. Any color on what you prefer?
Yeah, it's just about how far you have to go to move something to get to it. How far you have to move your mouse. We'll go through it after the meeting if you like. But that's my main reservation with where things are just at the moment. Is again, it's about preference. Graphic in.
Okay, we've just gone to the next question. SuperSource is more responsive.
Cut. Host SuperSource. Graphic out and cut. Thank you, Brian. Well done.
Thank you.
JJ was just saying that he's using about 30 inputs and 35 outputs on the big Video Hub router. So it's 20 of those outputs, 20 of those inputs will be the 20 coming from Zoom ISO. The other 10 might be just rerouting of different things like the multi-views, the multi-view 16's own multi-view might be routed back into the Video Hub so you can send it out to somewhere. The HyperDex, thank you, yes, for the animated backgrounds. The multi-view of the Constellation is probably put in there. Probably all 4 multi-views of the Constellation might be in there in different ways. So there are lots of different things that are routed in so that then you can route it out to anywhere that you need it.
So the layering of routing is obviously quite complicated. And so that's one of the reasons that they built, the system the way they did.
Preview Smart Gallery.
Go again.
Preview Smart Gallery. Thank you. So yes, Justin, just answer your buttons. Just the fact that if I'm dealing with people in the 1 to 16, that I have to go over here for the 17 to 20, even though it mirrors the kind of 2 multi-views, just it to me is a brain jump. I have to jump to go with the others rather than just keeping going down. So just different preferences for different things.
It might be just that
At the same time, the cut and auto is over to the right, whereas it might have been better in the center because then you can get to it from any point of the interface. But it all depends upon what you prefer and what's useful. The lovely thing about Universe is it can be tailored, strangely enough. So JJ is going to make versions for everyone. Isn't that right, JJ? Every single person.
I'd bring cut and auto just up a little bit more, and that's about it. And also grab 17 to 20 and stick them underneath.
Once we get the control panel.
Cut, sorry. Thank you. We don't have Jeff in that, but anyway, cut back. Sorry, Tommy was just talking over you there.
No, I was talking over you.
You okay? Preview SuperSource.
There, Brian.
Preview Smart Gallery. Cut. And cut back. Yeah, the PC I ordered was meant to arrive originally in March. I had to cancel it and get another PC.
What did you end up getting?
I have to go through it. I've turned it on today for the first time, and it hasn't come on. So I'm not too sure what I got. Might be a bunch of sawdust in a box. Who knows? Laura, no, there's no Belfast method at the moment. This until I think probably February, likely, as we build back in.
Glad to have you along for the ride, Richard.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
Ditto.
Don't worry, we'll spend your time for you.
I've been trying to get through to get time to work on the PC because I have to spend. I say have to spend makes it sound like my family's monsters, but I want to spend time with my family as well over this period. But so every time I've come into the office to work on the PC, I've ended up doing office hours instead. And then I go home and they go, "Oh, you're on office hours?" And it's, no, I'm not. Look, you can see I haven't been on office hours. You can see I'm not on the panel. There's the evidence. Nice. They don't know about this secret YouTube.
The secret lives of office hours. And their estranged families.
Yes, the office hours, widows and widowers around the world.
Yeah, Richard, I have about the same situation with this Mac Mini that I have here that I bought that I really haven't gotten a chance to get into yet.
Yeah, is it one of the M1 ones or is it one of the Intels?
Oh, one of the new M1s.
Oh, lovely. JJ, why is the scopes gone into the SuperSource? Do you know?
Because that's where they've replaced 1FGF.
Okay, cool. That's what it is.
So as a heads up, Brian, what I always do at the end, when Alex thanks the panelists, that's when I cut to the Smart Gallery.
Copy that.
We've got the new black button as well, which means that after we cut to the Smart Gallery, we can now cut to black instead of just cutting to someone whose source is dead.
I would stay on the Smart Gallery for the sentence talking about the panelists, then cut back to Alex, and then at that point preview the preview black, and you can fade to it. Well, today you'll have to cut to it because auto isn't working. As soon as he finishes.
Stand by. Cut.
Cut.
Oof.
Preview black. Cut.
It'd be nice to do a fade at the end of that.
Yeah, we don't have fade control. That would be nice.
We have done previously.
Oh, lovely.
Auto? What does the auto button do?
It cuts right now.
Okay, thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you very much,
Thanks for staying up with us. Thank you, Nawel. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, RJ.
Thank you.
Laura.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you have questions, feel free to pop them into the lab that's in the Discord, Office Hours 2.0 Lab. You can also
Okay.
join us on After Hours and ask more questions, or if you want, join us again on the next day. Dennis, are we doing 2.0 over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday?
That's a question for JJ.
Okay. I think
But I'm hoping to be reader tomorrow, so I won't be on
Yeah.
2.0.
It'd be probably handy for me to not do 2.0 on Saturday and Sunday, but we'll see what JJ needs, and I can always help. But thank you very much, everyone. We'll look out for notifications on Discord for when the next training session is. If it's not tomorrow, then it will be Monday.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Okay.
Thank
Right.
you.
Happy New
Cheers.
Year.
Chisel. Bye then.
Happy New Year, all.
Happy New Year.
Brian, you can have more drinks now.
No, I've been up for 23 hours. I'm going to bed.
Okay.
Good night,
makes
Brian. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Brian.
you
Have a
all.
good one.
We'll see you, Brian. See you, guys. And
Thanks,
gals.
Josh. See you later.